Good afternoon. You're listening live to the Xtreme movie show, Xtreme Trailer Action. I'm your host, Rob, broadcasting to you live from the Indian Hills Studios in the Pine Hills Palace, just west of Orlando, Florida. I have in balmy wet over here where I'm at, Englentine, from I Love Comics. He's also part of Central Florida and on the sat line, the real RDV. Good evening, gentlemen. How are we?
Peachy keen. And it's flat out raining over here.
Same here.
Yeah, we're getting bombed. Yeah, it's funny because Daisy and Max, my two German shepherds that patrol the grounds here at the palace and they keep me safe while I do these live streams because, you know, it is a war zone here in Pine Hills. They said, hey, there's somebody on the edge of the property, master. And I looked and I went, uh-oh, that's Vince Vaughn with the knife. You better get in the house. So they're in here with me now in case we hear him in the background. But yeah, Vince Vaughn. I saw this trailer clip maybe an hour ago, and then immediately as soon as I watched it, I went, holy crap, I can't wait to talk about this potential movie. And then RDV, you immediately saw it too. It seemed like, so I guess it just dropped today. But we're talking about the movie, I think it's called Freaky with Vince Vaughn, and is it Kathryn Newton in it, and it's by the people that did Happy Death Day, and I think Happy Death Day, the sequel, Happy Death Day 2U, or number 2, or however you want to call it. So I'm going to go over to you, E, first and say, hey, you were the biggest fan out of us about Happy Death Day, and I had no idea what the hell it was, and then I watched it and went, you're right, this is actually a pretty clever movie. What did you think of this trailer?
I looked at it, and when I found out it was the same filmmakers that did Happy Death Day, I was like, okay, this is in good hands. This is exactly what you want. Look, a lot of concepts as far as movies have been done before. We've seen the buddy cop film about 50,000 times. We've seen slasher movies about 50,000 times. Even Happy Death Day is Groundhog's Day, you know. So we've seen the person stuck on the same time cycle or time loop. So they added something different to it. Even when they went to the sequel, it wasn't more of the same movie. They changed it up. So you posted this. I hadn't heard of it or anything, but Venkman posted this in our DM, and I was like, okay, I know they did remake Freaky Friday for Disney. Is this what you're talking about? And so I watch it, and I was like, oh my goodness, they found a way to approach this old subject in a brand new light by just making it between serial killer and killer. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to take a little air out of the tires. About 15 years ago, Rob Schneider, of all people, made a body switch movie between a thief and his victim. So this isn't 100% going for it, but that it was called The Hot Chick. Wow. However, that was shit, and this is actually looking pretty cool. This is basically, I need to get my body back, but the person that has my body wants to now kill me so they can keep it. This is absolutely, I love this. I love the idea that they found a new approach to an old subject.
Doctor, when you saw the trailer, what made you pop for it?
Well, this kind of reminded me, I think, wasn't the original Mr. and Mrs. Smith movie similar to this?
No.
There was an old 40s movie where a guy and a girl did swap. Or am I thinking of the TV series?
No, yeah. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, the original, was an Alfred Hitchcock film.
Yeah.
It was a romantic comedy about a divorcing couple.
But there was one with a guy and a girl. Well, there's been a ton of them with the past 20 years, 30 years. Mm-hmm. I remember there was a failed TV series that tried to get off. I think they're in the 70s. It was with a guy and it was a husband and wife switch basically bodies because of some statue.
So you kind of like that concept.
Well, it's different. I've seen movies with what's his name, Tim Daly, and the girl from just trying to think of what her name is. Anyway, she's from Blade Runner. She's the girl that Harrison Ford likes. They were in a movie called Dr. Jekyll and Mrs. Hyde.
Oh, that's one of the worst of them. I did see that one.
It's stupid hilarious. That's what I liked about it. It gave me a reason to like Rip Torn or Rip Taylor, whatever his name is.
Oh, Rip Taylor. Yeah, I think you were right the first time. Rip
Torn. Yeah.
The one that really got me was there was a body switch movie called Switch. Ellen Barkin played and Jimmy Smits. Jimmy Smits is a bit of a womanizer, and he gets put into a woman's body. And one of the best things I thought about it was you are so they told him there was a scene where he's actually trying to seduce a woman, and they find out he's so homophobic he can't even have a lesbian relationship. There are times when they touch upon, but what we're dealing with here, I think, is this is actually a fresh take on it.
Well, it's adding a horror element to it. I've never seen a horror movie with the body double stuff.
Also, I've got to tell you, I am a huge Vince Vaughn fan. I can watch him even in his worst films. The one where he's the salesman going around, which I don't think is a great movie. At least he's watchable, and he's just one of those actors. I'm gonna put him up against somebody here, and I'm gonna say he's like Gene Hackman. Name the bad Vince Vaughn performance. You could name the bad Vince Vaughn movie all day. I'm sure. But he is always spot on. I think that's also because he's almost always Vince Vaughn. But
and that's the whole thing we talk about: people who can act versus people who or play some version of themselves. And ultimately, I think no matter how good you are, how good looking you are, you really want to watch the person who's themselves, and maybe they just change it a little bit, because when you feel like you get to know them, there's a personal element to it. But then also somebody like Vince Vaughn, has certain physical characteristics, his height in particular, and his face, his eyes, that, you can only do so much. And so when he does something that's against that type, you go, wow, he's actually acting in here. And that's where I think the high level stuff's really reserved for actors that are in that position. But what about this trailer is exciting? Let me go by saying that I think they're very smart in marketing this as, by the producer or director of Happy Death Day, because Happy Death Day was clever. So that's telling us, okay, this is going to be a clever twist on there. And when I started watching this, I went, okay, some chick, and Vince Vaughn's like the psycho. She's out to high school, whatever, loser, and he's just appears out of nowhere. Okay, it's shot good, like a lot of movies can be. Who cares? I'm thinking, why am I trying to watch this? And then I noticed, wait a minute. And then they show the swap part to it. And I thought, who better than Vince Vaughn, who can be a killer, but then can act not effeminate, but act girly and kind of like that? Because Vince Vaughn, when he goes into that mode, we all know he's a talker. We know he can take it to another level that just is almost annoying. We're like, shut up. And he's so perfect because that whole bubbly high school girlish kind of mentality, once you see that in a scene or two with the other people that he's working on this issue with, it's almost funny. So to me, I'm going to totally disagree and say this is going to be a horror comedy. It's a comedy movie, and from start to finish, but it may have a horror element looking to it. But that being said, as soon as I saw just a little bit of that, that's enough to sell me on it. Made me want to go see it, which it's coming out in November is what it looks like.
Even Happy Death Day was a horror comedy, and that's one of the things that there you go with horror elements. The thing is this is exactly the same thing. They made this movie understanding that you've seen this movie. And that's the same thing with Happy Death Day. They made Happy Death Day with the understanding that you've seen it already. No matter, you might not have seen that titled film, but you've seen Groundhog Day. You've seen the time loop thing. So they added those tropes in. They made fun of it while they were actually making it. And you can actually see that here. You're watching people getting killed in the trailer. So that's not going to be the surprise. There's no suspense to that. It's not what it's about, it's how it's about it with these films. And that is, it's one of the sell points.
Now, Doctor, you and I had covered, was it Brawl and Cell Block, was it 99, I guess it was, with Vince Vaughn in it. And that was pretty damn good, actually. I'm glad that we covered that on one of our channels, because obviously we do classic movies, we do horror, sci-fi. You kind of handle a lot of the comic and Disney ones there too. But on the Xtreme Movie Show that we're a part of, we like to cover most of these things. And I can sit there and say we haven't done a lot of Vince Vaughn because we don't typically do comedies that much. But because he chose that role in Brawl and Cellback 99, where you can see he's got a brutal side to him he can convey really well. I thought him being this taller 6'3", 6'4", whatever his height is, killer is genius, because let's face it, a lot of people today in films, they're small people, small guys, they're not physically imposing. He looks like he can handle both, and by being able to do that gives you that big change in personalities that allows it to be more effective than if you just had a pretty boy looking guy here too. And I think the comedic element here is exaggeration, because you see something where I guess her friends are a gay guy and somebody else, and so they show the gay guy saying a couple little things, in a very effeminate manner or whatever, and you're like, okay, this whole thing's gonna be watching Vince Vaughn and him and their little team tried to figure out, hey, we've only got 24 hours, but how can we solve this problem and deal with it? But then of course the thing we didn't say was, and we haven't even mentioned her name, but Kathryn Newton, she gets to play, instead of ditzy dumb high school blonde chick or whatever we want to call her as, whatever trope it is, she gets to play the Vince Vaughn character. And there's a scene in the trailer, of course, towards the end there, where she's just kind of looking and she's got those big eyes and she's just kind of not blinking and looking and staring. I'm like, oh, we're going to see enough of Vince early on to take that essence out of him and put it in her. So it's not just a Vince Vaughn vehicle. I'm really curious to see this because I know he'll do well. I'm really curious to see how she will.
Well, apparently sounds like you've never watched Supernatural. This is Claire Novak.
I've not watched the last few seasons of Supernatural, so I have missed her in that.
Yes. So her playing a serial killer role, kind of like this, a dark, kind of like a bitch, is basically what her character is. And she grew up without her parents. Her mom was killed also in the Supernatural series. So Kathryn Newton she's used to playing this kind of role, and I think she'll excel at this. And she's perfect casting for this role because of that, because I've already seen her at this. I've already seen her take on like freaking monsters and stuff like this and just be a jerk to like Dean and Sam in that series. So I'm just hyped for this, man. I want this. Forget anything that's coming out. Just give me this.
Well, I don't think that we're being...
I'll just say this. This is probably worth $30, not Mulan.
I don't think that we're being, well, it's a Blumhouse production, so we know it's a micro budget type movie. I don't think that we're being influenced by the fact there's not a lot of movies out and we haven't seen too many lately in theaters. So I don't think it's because we're starving, for movies and everything to go back to normal. I don't think it's that way at all. I think this is the right type of movie at the right time. My only question is in E, I know the COVID's out there and there's a lot of crap being dealt with scheduling, but why the hell would they release this in the middle of November and not do it a couple weeks before Halloween? I just don't understand that. It makes no sense to me at all.
Of course, I'm not in their heads, but they have a schedule. And unfortunately, a whole bunch of movies got put into this little spin cycle where they have to place things. So everything is landing in weird and interesting places. Mulan was supposed to be a theatrical release, but now it's, as you said, a $30 Prime, but that even I can't pull the trigger on. That should tell you something about this movie. But you also have to consider the crowded nature of a Halloween film, especially, are you going to put it in theaters? Are you going to have it streaming? Are you going to have it both? If you put it on a streaming site, it's going to be buried right alongside everything else. You're going to have maybe a day or two worth of YouTubers talking about it, and then it's going to go into the ether. If you put it in the theaters during Halloween, is it going to be talked about because of what's being put up there? Are classic Halloween films going to be out there? Or if you put it right afterwards, maybe you get talked about, because what you're going to have is you're going to have Freaky, and you're going to have whatever family film they're trying to push because of Thanksgiving holidays coming up.
Yeah. So November 13th is the scheduled release date for this movie. So they're totally skipping over Halloween
and going straight to Friday 13th.
Which I think is better, because Halloween's gonna be if they do release anything, it's gonna be full of just horrible movies. Probably they're gonna put out ones you basically can just watch a DVD rental. Where this actually has, because I don't want it to be drowned in a sea of bad Halloween movies that come out October every freaking year. So
there might be a gem. There might be a gem in there. I want to speak onto a question that Rob asked about the girl. Now I've never seen an episode of Supernatural. So
really? Wow.
Yeah, I've never watched it. It's one of those
party, bro.
It's one of those great shows I've never seen. That being said, I have a problem with women acting tough. It's a very hard thing for them to do. Women can be tough on film. We've seen it with Sigourney Weaver in Alien, Linda Hamilton in Terminator. You have seen tough women on screen, but a lot of times women act tough. I'm doing quotation marks. Act tough. and it just shows that I'm like, yeah, men don't act that way. You're either tough or you're not tough. Even when men act tough, you can tell if they're actually doing that or if they're putting on a show. And most of the times when I see a woman doing that, they're putting on a show. So I'm very interested to see if this young lady can pull it off, or if we're going to watch it and go, yeah, I don't buy it.
Well, for this one, this is more a comedy, so it's going to be more over exaggerated. As where Supernatural character she plays on there, when she goes after monsters, she basically sometimes she gets it over her head. A lot of times she gets it over her head. She has someone that to save her.
Okay, so I would actually say that would be a mistake. Yeah. I think the best way to handle that particular Vince Vaughn's there to go over the top. She needs to be 100% serious, and I think that would actually be the best.
She's gonna be serious, but you saw how she busted the wall like the Kool-Aid Man. I was just laughing my ass off when I saw that in the clip. I was like, yes.
Yeah, it's like it's the Shatner thing. You know, Shatner said that the more ridiculous the episode, the more serious he would take it. I think that's the way this girl needs that. Vince Vaughn, he's going to take it over the top. She needs to ground it, and if that happens, I think this movie will be as good as the Death Days.
From what I little saw in the teaser trailer, like, you know, she did just kind of was selling it for me, because you saw him, he's like, and the way she acts is like, "It's me, don't help me," and then like you see another scene where she basically is like, "Hey, it's a Bayside Killer," whatever.
Yeah, I dug that, because that's the best way for him/her to handle it is, oh wait, that's the killer, go get him. You know, because not only will the killer get this new body, but that's an extra 30, 40, 50 years of life.
Now,
Vince Vaughn's looking more years behind him than he is ahead of him. So
yeah, her high school friends, the gay guy. Like, I don't really care if he's gay. I like his adds more. I think it adds more like comedy. Like, because you see when he's screaming, it's like.
Well, yeah, you got to ignore the obvious casting of a gay guy, a black guy, and basically a woman trapped in a man's body. No, but you basically have a gay Hispanic, a black girl, and a trans person. Because now Vince Vaughn is a girl in a guy's body, so take it how you will.
I wish they would have done that with Scream. Make fun of putting out the stereotype. That'd be hilarious.
Yeah, that might be the fun part of it. So,
well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Freaky, Vince Vaughn, Kathryn Newton, coming in November 13th. As of right now, of course, things obviously could potentially change. It's one that we're looking forward to as well. Eric Breen, your cup runneth over, baby, 2 times today. He was on Rob's Red Wolves review, looking at the former Redskins team season outlook there too. So don't get offended or shocked that I'm continuing to do that. I'm experimenting and seeing how that's going to go because of sports stuff. I'm just saying it was an emergency stream, so I just got to say, when we saw Freak, we're like, we got to get on. So it's one of those few moments that all 3 of us happen to be here at the exact same time. Awesome.
It's all right. You're allowed to get freaky. Do what you want to do.
God.
Yeah. Anyway. Well, thanks, guys, for showing up on the last second notice here. We normally don't do that. We usually schedule things, but Freaky is freaky enough to look at too. So, any quick freaky comments before we go?
Angleton, just to let you know, you should always keep it punny.
Freaky.
That's what I deal with, ladies and gentlemen.
Jumpers to the left, clowns to the right of me. Here I am, stuck in the middle with you.
All right. Freaky, go see it, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be reviewing it, definitely. And also, if you haven't seen Happy Death Day and Part 2, we've done reviews of those. Check those out. And Strong Women Ages, so you know, we dropped one called Police Assassins 2. It was Michelle Yeoh's first movie, along with Cynthia Rothrock from 1985 and 80s Gem. We just dropped that as well, too. So you want to see Strong Women, go listen to that and then go watch it.
Since we are plugging videos we just did yesterday, I talked about the new Oscar rules, as well as did a commentary, a full-length live reaction to this controversial film. So check that out.
What's the name of the film? I believe it's on Netflix.
Cuties.
And this movie has everybody like, oh my gosh, it's the worst thing ever. What's it going to be? And I was like, okay, you know what? Let's actually see what this thing is about. And I'm actually very proud of that. Thank you. The fact that I could sit through that.
You will be holding open editions for the soon to be open spot.
Stop. we're not going to talk about that or the P word. Let's just say E. If you're interested, go listen to it and comment over there because he just dropped it. Yeah, that was one I wasn't wanting to touch, but I'm glad you did, and no pun intended. All right, guys, thanks for joining. Everybody else, have a good night. Eric, see you later.
It out.